Hi. So glad to see you all out here today. I am known as Receptor 62 of Mike Crawley's Plateau Wind Project in Grey Highlands, Grey County. A faceless, nameless person to our government and to AIM IPC GDF Suez, who labeled me as such. This is the way they want it. Out of sight, out of mind. If they can dehumanize us, then they can ignore the pain and suffering that their policies, their regulations, and their machines are causing. But I have a name and a face, as do 22 others from 8 families in my community. We have all been stricken with symptoms that we did not have prior to the installation of the industrial wind turbines near our homes. Each of us resides less than 1,500 meters from the nearest turbine. Some of our common symptoms are interrupted sleep, sleeplessness, heart palpitations, headaches, nausea, ringing in the ears, pressure in the head and ears, a tingling or vibrating feeling in the body, dizziness, nosebleeds, high blood pressure, lack of energy, depression, irritability, and yes, anger. Anger! Yeah. We have phoned the developer and the MOE. We have filed complaints. We have appealed to the medical officer of health, all to no avail. We are aware of others who choose to remain silent for reasons important to them, but who nonetheless deserve to be counted. There is a young man in my community who is vibrant and active, dynamic at his job. He now misses work because he cannot bring himself to get out of bed in the morning after a restless night to make the long commute to his place of employment. A young father who suffers from vertigo, which now has become more pronounced since the turbines started up, worries about the health of his children. His doctor has recommended that he be fitted with a pacemaker. He's only 35 years old. Young children have begun to have chronic nosebleeds. Adults now have high blood pressure. Some complain that they can no longer think or function properly. They lack energy and are depressed most of the time, preferring not to return home at the end of the workday to face another sleepless, torturous night. One family has already moved away, but not before giving the leaseholder nearest his home a piece of his mind as he was departing. Another family, just a few days returned from a 3-week holiday, has also made the decision to leave. You see, after only 2 days away from home and the turbines, they felt a renewal of their health. The wife, while monitoring her blood pressure, was able to stop taking the drugs she had been prescribed. The husband felt relief by being able to sleep again. The pains in his abdomen disappeared. But 2 days after coming home, all of their symptoms returned in full force. Now they're making preparations to put the house on the market, hoping that they can sell it with a minimal financial loss. I too fear for the loss of my home and my health, which has already been degraded. I suffer from loss of sleep, excessive ringing in my ears. Sometimes there's pressure in my ears. Many of you can relate to being in an airplane that is descending rapidly. Imagine that pain going on for hours. I suffer from nausea and headaches. They're no longer strangers to me. I also suffer from many infections, no doubt caused by my immune system being compromised. My home, along with some of my neighbors' homes, was the subject of Dr. Nick Cowan's noise survey, which demonstrates that the turbines exceed the noise limits set by the MOE most of the time. We have phoned the developer and the MOE. We have filed complaints. We have appealed to the medical officer of health, all to no avail. We are not wind opponents or activists. We are people, unwilling participants, walking wounded, singled out by our government to participate in a nightmare that has been imposed on us without our consent. And now we are to be studied by our governments to determine the depth of our suffering and what would be an acceptable percentage of people harmed. They are talking about 29%. They are looking at raising the noise levels to 45 dB. They are looking to make policy changes under the guise of a health study. In September of last year, I made a presentation on behalf of my neighbors and myself to the medical officer of health for Grey Bruce counties, Dr. Hazel Lynn. As a result, the Board of Health requested her to conduct a literature search and provide summary conclusions. In a letter to me, she states that every published peer-reviewed study we considered demonstrated some level of positive correlation between self-reported adverse health effects and living distances from turbines. But she says we need more research. Well, I did not sign up to be a lab rat. Did you? No! We don't have 10 years to wait for more research. A positive correlation has been determined. So what are they waiting for? Prevention, precaution, and do no harm are well-established health principles. To allow harm is inconsistent with these principles, especially the precautionary principle. It is time for the medical community to step up to the plate. Medical officers of health in counties where people are being harmed have an obligation to respond to that harm.